Okay, first match of a Theros draft. Here we are. We're playing. I have no clue. Tour Pro. Cool, awesome. Would you like to play first? Yes, I would. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, nice little curve. Not insane, but that's kind of the deck. Just a bunch of good cards. And we'll lead off with our forest here. And let's see. Schlocknock, Mr. Mike for Mana Bluff, has got his against Cater. And we didn't actually play. Ooh, and a little bit of an aggressive deck, it would seem. I'll go ahead and bust out my Island and Leaf Crown Dryad now. And then, pretty much, I'm good on lands for a little bit. I'm going to start drawing some of my many creatures. So one of the things that I don't really know much about are the new combat tricks. I know about the Searing Blood. I can't remember if that's an instant or sorcery. I haven't really boned up or memorized anything, so that's kind of one of the purposes I see of a pre-release Nice Swiss is kind of getting a sense of these kind of cards. So here, a nice aggressive start from my opponent. Looks like no attack from the Crusader. This should be okay. If we don't draw a creature, which we didn't, unfortunately, we still get to do the pass-go kind of thing. We have our 2 combat tricks, help us out of situations, but this is where something like a lightning strike or whatever can really get kind of dangerous. You know, my opponent wants to attack in with the Sun Guide. I can block and in response play something, but then I can get easily 2 for 1, so pretty much not going to do that. Interesting to see a Nyxos Shrine to Nyx and an aggressive beatdown. Whatever. If my opponent wants to attack in, I'll just take it. I'm not going to play the Feral Invocation into a open mana base. And even though I really would like to use my mana this turn, I'm going to wait one more turn to put the Nyxborn Wolf on top of the Dryad. I'm perfectly okay with that. If my opponent's doing nothing, I'm cool doing nothing either while I draw this, you know, lack of creature hand. I'm really scared of the Lion King, Brahmas. I don't have any real way to deal with something as bomby as that. Alright, so this will be kind of cool. We'll go ahead and bestow up our wolf. If my opponent wants to do a lightning strike, we still get the wolf back. So it's much less dangerous to play such a card. Not going to attack in yet. Continue to wait until I have more. Maybe like the Aqueous form will come down next on the Leaf Crown Dryad, start attacking in for 5 of unblockable damage each turn. Still have the combat tricks left to play around some type of burn. My opponent not doing anything, I can only imagine is not good, considering... Oh! Sorry, maybe I should have the card feature out. Since we are learning new cards here, we want to be able to see things as nicely as possible. My apologies. Yeah, so we have the Resco Sun Guide there. What I was saying was, I can only imagine my opponent not doing any kinds of attacks right now is not what a red-white strategy wants to be doing. It's not like I have any pressure up, so it's not a huge deal. You know, my base worry would be bombs coming down. Because I don't have ways to deal with bombs, and since we're at parity in a sense, slowly developing my board without a really nice curve out, things get really nasty. Yeah, Phalanx Leader can start putting a whole lot of damage in the near future against me. Because that's a whole, you know, with this Sun Guide being tapped down. Like, I would love to have a time defeat to take out the Phalanx Leader. I can go ahead and smash in for 8. You know, put this Nyxborn Wolf, bestow it, and put an Aqueous form on to get a trigger. But I think what I want to do is put the Aqueous form on the Dryad, get my Scry, I'll attack in for 5, and then try to leave up this Savage Surge I'll even also have Feral Invocation to protect against some kind of removal burn spell or something. So that, I think, is the best course of action, because I really want to try to get this Phalanx Leader. I'll be attacking him for 5. I'll be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly 9 damage myself next turn. My opponent will be able to gain 2 life from an untap. So it's not the best trade-off, but I think it's one of the things I have to do. And I think the Scry is going to be fairly relevant. And then we can use the Bestow later after my opponent's tried to use a removal spell to take rid of the Leaf Crown Dryad and try to turn the race back in my favor. And the Scrying will be pretty nice, being able to filter through everything. Nylea's Disciple, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus a Savage Surge up. Yeah, I actually like Nylea's Disciple quite a bit. We'll put on top. Drawing creatures to continue the board, and something that gains life to negate the race is going to be pretty sweet. So assuming the Sun Guide comes in, we're doing only 3 damage a turn. And I really just want to deal with this Phalanx Leader and the board across my opponent's board that's across from me. Still seeing a fairly dorky deck from my opponent. 1 drops, 2 drops, but maybe there's like ordeals, more burn, and this draw was just particularly slow or something. We'll see. I will go ahead and try to knock off this Savage Surge right now to kill the Phalanx Leader. I'm trying to think of what the different removal spells are. But what I'm trying to do is bait out like a Lightning Strike right now. So in response to it, I can put the Feral Invocation on, and then I'll still get to eat the Phalanx Leader. So, what's my opponent trying to debate? There could be another instant that I'm not familiar with that does enough damage to where that's not going to be good. I'm okay with that. If you want to sacrifice Destroy Enchantment, that's very okay. Go for it. And why did my opponent... I think my opponent targeted the wrong card. I think my opponent meant to kill a Leaf Crown Dryad. I'm not too sure. I was going to say, I was fine if you want to kill Leaf Crown Dryad. I still have my 3/1 to block, and I could put the Feral Invocation on it. Still able to kill the Phalanx Leader, which is what I care about. But as of right now, that's not what happened, so we're going to go this route. And now I have a 4/4 around, and I don't think there's a burn that does 4, so I'm feeling okay about that. And then I have the 1, 2, 3, 4. Exile target artifact, orange. Oh, maybe that's why. I see, I see. That is fine then. Because... Sorry, I'm just thinking ahead about my... What? My opponent is not targeting correctly. My opponent just exiled the Aqueous form. That was a bad move. In that case, I'm going to put the Feral Invocation onto my Leaf Crown Dryad to maximize my... Because my opponent's tapped out. And then we can get some beats on. I'm going to have the Nylea's Disciple coming down in the following turn, and that's going to be pretty alright. Yeah. Gain some life, bash in for 4, and then the Nyxborn Wolf can go on whichever dude is still alive. Want to pay attention that there is a Revoke existence. And Priest of Iros, or whatever that card is called. My opponent naturally in a main deck has some good artifact and enchantment hate. Mostly in the enchantment hate is what matters. And in my deck, which has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 enchantment creatures, could be a liability. Something I didn't really think about as I built the deck, because I just love these Bestow cards so much. but there is way more enchantment hate. And already, there's been some good enchantment spells. Like I have the Artisan Sorrow. That's an option. Oh, goodness. At this point, my opponent wants attacking. I'll keep letting that happen. Ooh, Chimera's good. I'm just going to go ahead and put the wolf down. Chimera will be kind of the backup if my opponent has some kind of weird shenanigans I don't know about. There could be like Dauntless Onslaught and different types of tricks that start dealing with these, but I still get to do a lot of damage to my opponent. And getting my opponent's cards out of hands is going to be pretty nice. And now we're in a pretty good spot. Try to leave any of the new cards up on the card viewer here, so we can read those as we learn. Stoneshock Giant, not entirely going to do it here. I still think I'm attacking with both. The Giant's going to eat, well, not eat, but trade with one of them. That's fine. The other guy's has to chump, basically, because both have to be blocked because they're both lethal. So I still am put in a really decent position. And then the Chimera is the insurance plan to come down afterwards. I wonder how Mike's match is going. If I have time between rounds, I might give the guy a call and see what's going on with him. Combat trick. If there's a combat trick here, this can make sense for Stoneshock Giant to stay alive. No, so I would have put the Stoneshock Giant on the Leaf Crown Dryad, because now there's still 2 lethal creatures on the board. Whereas if not, the 6 power that the Disciple had because of the bestowed wolf doesn't really do a whole lot extra when you're already at 3 life. So it would have been better just to kill the Leaf Crown Dryad and still only leave 1 threat on the table. Here's a Griffin. Do I want to show the Horizon Chimera? It could be really greedy of me not to, considering that, yeah, I think I need to, just to guarantee. It would be nice to try to not play the Horizon Chimera, but that'd be a little too greedy. There's enough going on the opposite opponent, on the opposite side of the table for my opponent, that if I didn't do that, I wasn't guaranteed anything. And here, this should do it. Yep. Okay, so fairly aggressive, but still with a couple of 5s, including a dorky one and a Nyxos Shrine. So the build is not particularly consistent. Plus having 2 red 1-drops and a Phalanx Leader, even though Phalanx Leader is worth it, don't get me wrong, is something to consider. But do I have anything that's really worth sideboarding? In or out? Let's see what's coming in. Nothing there. Dissolve, pretty much never. My opponent, I'd rather just have my nice curve than dissolve, which is kind of why it's there in the first place. No, I actually think I like the deck as it stands. If I had earlier drops to maybe try to match my opponent, then that might be a consideration. I think we did okay, and we have a lot of 3s. We just didn't see a lot of creatures at the start of that game. Biggest issue is going to be the Phalanx Leader if my opponent can get online with that and do a lot of damage. Yeah, I'm going to still keep it the same way, though. Hello, Borderland Minotaur. So here, unfortunately, we're going to have to mulligan. Yeah, we're on the draw, but without any forest, this hand is just horrible. So let's do a mull down. Ooh, kind of the same issue. I'm going to do her again. This is horrible. Wow. I'm still going to mull. We have a pretty decent curve, so yeah, I'd rather have this, one of each at least, even though still we only have a 4 and a 5 drop, but what a bum situation. This is not exactly the deck you want to mull against that aggressively, but no 1-drop, that's nice. Now if we can get to enough mana to cast our 4s, these should be pretty okay. Let's keep Fairy's Band Trumper up. Love that guy. Ooh, Crone Skyguard. That's a very good card. My opponent didn't seem to have a whole lot of ways to target, though. There weren't a lot of combat tracks we saw. It could have just been that what we had seen were very, a creature-heavy hand from my opponent, but I would imagine... Ooh, this is kind of an ordeal draw. I really hope that this Satyr can stick around. If my opponent has a removal spell, this should be the first thing that gets cracked off naturally, because mulling down to 4 means this guy is going to be so key no matter what happens. But, putting an ordeal on the Skyguard right now, it's going to be really hard for my deck to deal with. Ideally, I draw a land next turn so I can play my Trumper. Yep, that's exactly what my opponent should do, as called out. Searing Blood, gotta love that card. Take 3 damage, get rid of my Satyr. Just took 4 damage on turn 3 and lost the dude. That's a pretty okay turn, I would say. Still want some lands. Yeah, alright. Lands are happening. Ooh, and there's an ordeal. Okay. Now I'm quite scared. I'm going to have to somehow control out my opponent, because my opponent's going to gain 10 life. There's not going to be a race in any way, shape, or form having mulled down this low. So if there's any hope of me winning, it has to somehow stabilize. We could get there. If my opponent, gets me down to 8 life or so, and then I can start playing my spells, I'll have a decent ground presence, and then the Siren is going to come down as something to be reckoned with. But the Skyguard is going to be able to trade off with it by that point, and any one more targeting ability is going to make it pretty not awesome. I am going to go ahead and play the Trumper over the Disciple, obviously. Well, I guess it's obvious because when this guy does attack, it's the same power and toughness, but it gets bigger. And then waiting a turn for my Nylea's Disciple means I get that extra life point, which is actually very important in order to stay alive and hopefully stabilize. And if my opponent is worried about my Fairies Band Trumper getting huge, then might even... Ooh, God Favorite General. I hate that card. Although, this could be a game where it does some amount of work. Alright. So we take a bunch. 4/4 is super problematic. Drawing the Emissary is good. I think I care more about the life right now. I'm going to go ahead and attack in with a Fairies Band Trumper. I want to leave up the trick. I could still get killed with... the Trumper could still get killed with something. Luckily did not. So I might not have gained that extra life, but I think it was pretty well worth it in order to ensure that that happens. I really don't know how we're going to be able to beat the Skyguard. It's a 3-turn clock. Any targeting spell gets it. I pretty much have to luck out that nothing targets it before I can play my Siren. And then at any time that there's a target for the Siren, it's going to be... Sorry, anytime there's a target for the Skyguard, I'm saying all the names wrong because I don't know the cards yet, my Siren's just going to do nothing. I'm assuming that when I play my Siren, it's just going to become an Air Elemental, because there's no way my opponent's going to let me take the Akroan Skyguard. And I'm so far behind on life that this is not a race in any way, shape, or form. I have a 4/4 now. Removal spell? Lightning Strike? Could be. Alright. I am going to go ahead and slam Siren of the Fanged, what have you. I don't think the extra point of damage is going to matter. I think a race is more important. So I'm going to attack in with both. My opponent's just at 20. Gosh. At least I have something to kind of block their Crow and Skyguard. I'm curious to see how this. Yep, as my opponent should do. My opponent is making the Siren of the Vanguard a 4/4. I at least have a lot of pressure on the crackback. And my opponent doesn't know what other life gain I might have, and I could draw a Savage Surge, which means I can still attack in for a bunch. 4, 5. Ooh, Flank Leader's gonna be really bad. No attacks would be awesome. Yay, no attacks. Okay. I'm pretty sure the Emissary has to go on the Siren. And that's because I do need to make my flyer big enough that if the Skyguard starts getting kind of tromped up, it's an issue. So if I were to attack him with the Fairy Span Trompers, something could target either of these dudes and make it 5/5, but I'm still happy for that to be the case. It's more like, are there 2 spells that can come down? The only thing I know of is Coordinated Assault, which I kind of want to get out of my opponent's hand right away anyway. So I will go ahead and put the pressure on with the Fairy Span Trompers. Even though it's a nice big old dude. I think it's going to get through, and it did, so that's grand. I'm a little worried about Enchantment Hate now, because it's kind of key for me to keep my Emissary on my Siren. And without cards and being tapped out and stuff means I'm in really dire shape. But there's hope. There's a lot more hope now than when I started on this mole. My opponent has 5 cards in hand. Perhaps some of those cards are the 6-drops or big things. What is this guy? Whenever you gain life, put that many +1 counters on this creature. Okay, luckily there's no life gain at the moment, though my opponent did show some of that with an Ordeal. There was the Untap Inspired Cat that gains 2 life, so the Flank Leader could get huge. If my opponent doesn't play a land, I'm in really good shape. I'll have a 6/6 to bash through, which will take out something important, and it might just be time to get a little aggressive here with attacking with a Siren. Depends, of course, on the draw. Agent of Horizons, good, but not really going to get there. If I'm definitely attacking with a Fairy Span Tromper, because it'll take out something relevant, Skyguard or the Phalanx Leader, and that's grand. Or it'll just do 6 damage. If I attack him with Siren of the Fang Song, my opponent takes up to 13 damage. If I attack him with everything, the Skyguard could eat the Disciple, but then it's definitely taking 7, and I kill one of the dudes. But then on the crackback, yeah, there's too much that could go wrong on the crackback. Yeah, unfortunately, with all the +2 or whatever types of spells that are in this format, one targeting spell of a +2 variety actually gets my Skyguard into +3 range, and that becomes huge. So I can't attack in with the Siren. I'm just going to have to do some beats down with this Fairy Span Tromper and live on the edge. If my opponent ends up attacking in some way, I'm going to be in really nasty shape. 6 is good. We're starting to even up the score. I certainly have a clock now. I can really only assume that my opponent has some of those dorky 5-drops in hand, which are going to be very good should that 5th land come down. But also, if I end up winning this game, are the reason why I was able to get back in this is because my opponent has very I don't know, incongruent deck strategies with a lot of aggressive-y type stuff, and then these random huge 6-drops. Don't get me wrong, the Stone Shock Giant's good, but that... What was that? I don't even remember what that Griffin's called, and it's from Theros, the one that prevents damage when you want it to. Yeah. If I can stay alive for one more turn, I think we'll be in good shape. This Fairy Span Trumper is going to be a 7/7. Pretty much has to be blocked at that point. I'm going to be attacking in with the Agent of Horizons for sure. Those are lethal on their own, so something's going to get eaten, and my opponent will go down to 6, assuming there is little to worry about from the opposite side of the table. But at 5 cards, there's got to be something like a Searing Spear. There's got to be another creature to come down. But man, Searing Blood's such a good card. It is an instant. Okay, so that is important to remember. Searing Blood is an instant. I'm curious. Searing Blood better or worse than Magma Jet? Based on R&D's evaluation, i.e. double red mana casting cost, and then they're both instants and uncommons, Searing Blood is better. I think that's kind of true. Scry is cool on Magma Jet, but that extra 3 damage, that if you can pull it off, which you can pretty much engineer, is so powerful. That's insane. Alright, no attacks, that's very good. That means there's hope. Will we get there? Another agent. Okay, well, it allows me at least to attack in and play another agent for a following lethal turn. So I'm going to go ahead and attack in. I've still got to keep back the Siren of the Fang Song because I don't have a kill yet based on like a chump or something, and there's again so many cards that will make that happen to where if I attack in, even that extra point of damage is going to be pretty gnarly. This forces at least 1 block. Should be a double block with like something. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Should be. Fairy Span Trumper is doing some good stuff here. I think it's pretty valuable at common. The fact that it's a 3/3 for 4 and then gets bigger is cool. Without Trample, yeah. I mean, putting the Emissary on the Trumper would have been pretty nice. But I don't think everyone has caught up with how the Trumper isn't deal with right away worthy, but it's certainly, you got to deal with it at some point. And this is kind of the exact same. Where do I get the hack you guys are using? I wonder. I don't understand what Tour Pro is saying. Where do I get the hack you guys are using? I mean, 9% of all matches. Oh, the hack, as in like hacking. Bummer. So Tour Pro is a little bit bummed. I guess is seeing some of the writing on the wall. I'm not too sure. Yeah. Well, he's not happy. Okay. Yeah. Tour Pro is bummed because. How do you get mana? Only draw the cards in the whole deck you can't cast. Yeah, and so I think my hypothesis was correct that there was maybe some 5-drops, and that's all that's being stuck in Tour Pro's hand, which is why it's kind of a bummer. So I just offered, I don't know if there's any insight to be shown or whatever, but you can at least kind of see my side of the draft, kind of see how it goes. I know not everyone enjoys watching other people's drafts. Who knows? But we'll see. And for now, let's wait. And this game, normally when someone's... That's funny. So sure, so I can use it in my court case where I, by all means, submit for evidence. By all means, submit for evidence. You guys are exploiting honest players and Hasbro is letting you. I don't know how we're exploiting honest players, but definitely having fun, that's for sure. And I can't spell submit, apparently. You can submit for evidence, but not submit. Yeah, he's really, really bummed about the variance and the math on that. I'll wait a little while and just pause while we chat some more. Okay, looks like there's a whole bunch of blocks going down. I'm definitely more worried about the Skyguard than anything else. And sure, we'll make my opponent try to use something and maybe get both of those guys out of range. Nope. Nothing there. Which could probably predict based on Tour Pro's chatting here. Seems to be pretty clear that he or she doesn't have anything to get out of the bind. Okay, Agent of Horizons entered the battlefield. It's Tour Pro's 10th turn. We need to see what else is going to happen here. It's kind of... And concession. And Tour Pro left the game, so we can't say GG's. But, yeah, definitely can be frustrating when the shuffler gets ya. Hopefully, Tour Pro has better luck in the following matches, and also, so do I, without so many mulligans. We'll see ya in round 2.